Hi guys, I'm just a kid on the internet, and I did a redeemable mistake.
Hey, guess what?
What?
So, Sadieyayy. She's a popular object show animator and I believe kind of a gotcha tuber too. She's got lovely animations with a fanbase of 740,000 subscribers. And if you look at her animations, wow, deserved. It's all absolutely stunning. Now Sadie is not new to being featured on my channel. You might recognize her from past disgusting topics spoken about on the channel. But this has nothing to do with that. Instead of Sadie being on the public's good side, everyone just hates her. Or in the eyes of many, they finally found a reason to hate her. And while I can see a lot of the criticisms, people are just treating a literal child like the spawn of Satan for some reason. And I'll get into the age stuff in a second, trust me, so hold your arguments. But also note, please, do not harass anyone involved. You aren't a hero for doing so. This is not how you resolve things. Constructively criticize, do not harass. But anyway, hey yappers, it's Bree, and boy, this is gonna be a topic. But before we get to that, the super thank yous. And if you aren't here, you'll be in the next one, and if names are pronounced wrong, I apologize. Galaxy World Buddy, M Creeper 1695, and Silly Frog 6205. Also check out my new comic, Crash Landed. It's pretty epic, and thanks for all the edits and fan art, guys. New chapter should be coming very soon, or maybe it's out, I don't know, depends on when I get this video out. So recently an exposed doc on Sadieyayy has been created along with a lot of controversy. I've been requested to cover it, and I just wanted to generally because boy do I have opinions. Sadie has literally been harassed by people over this. People saying they need to boycott her channels, and her comments are filled with people bringing this up. And on any fan account, fan art, or Sadie parody, people are like,
Sadie's problematic. Guys, you shouldn't be supporting Sadie.
And more. And while there are criticizable things to be said with her recent drama, this is just ridiculous. This is not enough to cancel and deplatform her. This is redeemable stuff. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt a lot of these people, especially the doc creators, are around her age, but man, yikes. I do think despite Sadie's age, she can be criticized. She just recently turned 14, but a lot of this takes place when she was 13. A lot of it also being resolved in the past, but we'll get into that. But healthy criticism is okay at any age, as long as it's done right. But I honestly feel like an entire doc where in many moments it feels like Sadie is being villainized is not okay. And these allegations can go from actually insane stuff to just, she didn't respond to this comment in the way that I think she should have, so cancel her. Like, hello? This is so stupid. I do understand many say that Sadie has ignored actual criticism, and that I will say is iffy. But also as of writing this script, Sadie has made a response to everything with her apologies and explanations. But let's look at this doc from the beginning. We're also looking at the excuses doc, also linked. And then later on the new recent drama. It's basically a separate doc with responses of all of Sadie's defenses so far in the excuse doc. The doc will be linked in my description as well, and that doc has the links to the excuse doc as well as other ones. Right off the bat, they speak pretty hostile, saying, if you're a fan or at least have heard about Sadieyayy from somewhere, then you'll want to hear the things she's gotten away with for either being 13 or simply because her fans are too gullible to believe anything other than her being a saint or whatever. P.S. More excuses some of you guys will make up do not work very well. Here's a doc about these excuses by my friend. Then link to the doc, excuses that will be used by her friends. PS2. Just because she's taking accountability doesn't mean I'm gonna take this doc down. She needs to have consequences for her actions. Also no, 14 is not fucking young. She's 4 years away from being an adult. The part 2 just sounds straight up malicious. Oh my god. Like, I wouldn't mind the whole it wasn't taken down part if you guys just want people to be aware, I guess. Even though I think the whole damn doc isn't needed. But also, you are blatantly ignoring the fact that you know majority of these instances are from a year ago. And fun fact, it doesn't matter if she's 4 years from being an adult. Typically, your brain isn't fully developed until 25. She's going to be immature. She's gonna make mistakes. I did stupid shit at 13 and 14. Hell, even 18-year-olds aren't mature. And especially for a creator who gained a huge platform at such a young age, mistakes will happen. And even worse, as we're seeing now, will be put on blast like she's an evil, horrible person, when I can absolutely bet she's a normal child who makes mistakes like everyone else her age. If you genuinely believe on your 18th birthday, you magically gain maturity, you're dead wrong. And no, I am not by any means saying that this makes bad things that people do okay just because they're young. I can criticize Sadie, and I will, and she should be able to realize she's in the wrong. But my point is, right off the bat, I can tell this doc is made to villainize Sadie, and they do not care what she has to say. Sadie will make mistakes, and we can acknowledge those mistakes without making her out to be this evil, irredeemable person. And looking at the excuses doc, again, just hostile and malicious. I genuinely can't tell if these people had a pre-hatred for Sadie and are using the situation as an excuse to be mean to her, or if they're kids who should not be handling this doc. There is an insane amount of swearing at people, mainly Sadie's fans. There's random ass insults like calling Sadie's fans numbskulls, stupid, and more. They call Sadie things like a bitchy asshole. It's just so insane and people are just ignoring that fact. In fact, so many people are spreading this horrific doc as proof things and something to look towards. By the way, people are less likely to listen to you if you're insulting them every few seconds. And it makes you out to be extremely malicious with how the doc is made. In fact, after going through this for the video, I'm very sure of it. This is genuine constructive criticism, people. When making docs, try to lean away from insulting everyone and their mother. But on to the actual allegations. For the first segment, the Booknote Allegations. Sigh. Warning for grooming and SH topics in this segment. For context, Booknote is another OSC creator who was deplatformed after being accused of grooming a 12-year-old boy. I do not know much on the situation, so please look into that for yourselves, because I'm still trying to figure that situation out. But the allegation is that Sadie used to be friends with a groomer, Booknote, and supported them even after the allegations came out. She only stopped being friends with said creator after she found out they were friends with an apparent copier of Sadie. They also mention a message sent to Booknote about how she stopped talking to a lot of people because everyone sees her as a shitty person for being in contact with Booknote. They provide screenshots of things like people mentioning they were friends, as well as Sadie following them on her socials, just to prove that they knew each other, and were consistently talking even after the allegations. And while yes, generally speaking, being friends with a groomer after their allegations came out is terrible, but they fail to mention that Sadie was 13 at the time, around the same age as the victim, Sadie, an at the time 13-year-old is being blamed for being friends with a groomer. Are we not concerned? We do not know the behind the scenes of this. We don't know what the groomer could have been saying to the literal 13-year-old. Why are we putting the blame on Sadie? The first screenshot is Sadie reposting Booknote defending themselves at the time of the allegations and when they first came out. Why wouldn't you mention the fact that of course at the beginning it's understandable to not believe the allegations? No matter what, this screenshot wouldn't be proof. This was early on in the allegations, and this was a defense that Sadie believed. Why would she be at fault? This is just disgusting. Sure, stopping being friends with someone over them being friends with a copier over grooming allegations is odd, and generally I don't support that, but we don't even know how close they were before all of this that could have made her cloud her judgment. And in a later screenshot shown of Booknote and Sadie's conversation, you can very much see Sadie saying, "I just can't do this shit anymore." That could imply there are other reasons. What Sadie did, speaking generally, is wrong. But in this specific case, she clearly was young, and again, friends with a groomer. She clearly did not understand the situation she had herself in. That's something you raise concern to the child themselves, rather than using this as something to expose someone for. They do the same later on to an 11-year-old that goes by 11 for the sake of being anonymous. They say they do not support them for being friends with a groomer, when that 11-year-old should have support. This just sounds like moral high grounding to the point of ignoring kids in potential danger to get internet points, or to look better than them. Oh, and would you look at that? Update. In Sadie's response, she literally shows that she was manipulated by Booknote. Apparently they were lying to her about what had truly happened. They lied about the victim's age, lied about how all the situation was fixed, emotionally manipulated her. One instance with SH, Sadie literally said she was scared of Booknote hurting herself if she said or did something wrong. Huh, who would have predicted that? What? You're saying you didn't know the whole context? You just put the blame on the younger person? Who would have thought there could have been potentially more context in a friendship you knew nothing about? For fuck's sake. On to the next segment. Toxicity. This segment starts off with, before you read this, just know she's been repeatedly told not to be rude so many times before, notably years back. But she never stopped being prickly, so using her age as an excuse for being rude doesn't fucking work. Besides all the Booknote stuff, her fans are very toxic too, and she's indeed aware of this. Clearly it's not as problematic as supporting and being friends with a groomer, but this is also a problem, considering that her fans have harassed and attacked a few people who took slight inspiration from Sadie, plus gave credit every time they made a video, including the lineless art style they have that was inspired by Sadie. Sorry that I have little proof of her fans attacking these people, but I have screenshots providing probably a little or more. Alright, ignoring the terrible hostile wording, let's look. And again, age is still a reason why she acts this way. Might not be an excuse, but at least it shows us she's young with a big platform and can make many mistakes since a lot of them will be put on blast. So basically a creator by IcoXX created an animation with a lineless art style, nowhere near similar to Sadie's. See, Sadie does have an art style, whether you believe it or not. Because comparing the way she draws to this, they're both very different but both lineless. I just say that because people deny Sadie has a style at all, but she does, it just happens to be a lineless one. The first screenshot is Sadie just replying, "I know," with an emoticon to the comment. It doesn't prove or disprove anything. They just use this to say that Sadie is rallying up her fans to hate on this person. Replying "I know" to someone is not proof of this. Genuinely, find a new screenshot if you're using this as a point. Because if it's happened so many times, you gotta have at least one screenshot. Because if it happened so many times, you gotta have at least one screenshot. She was just upset and said, I know. I do agree generally that Sadie should not have acted like she owned the style, but it's very common for kids to be possessive over what they see as their style, and something that seems that Sadie has improved on, as I'll get into later. But the reason I worry this way is because this had nothing to do with the art styles, but just Aiko doing every trend that Sadie did. It's literally in the screenshot. This had nothing to do with the art style, so I don't even know why they try to bring that up when the screenshot contradicted that. But either way, the art style stuff still stands. And I think Sadie either way still had a right to be a bit upset, and this isn't proof of her setting anyone to harass anyone. If there were actual screenshots of her encouraging harassment, I get it, but your only proof for this specific instance is her replying to a comment simply saying, I know, with an emoticon. This shouldn't be here. This is dumb. There's no proof. And you acknowledge this. And no, this is not enough proof to say she encourages harassment. Sadie said in her new response she's literally subscribed to Aiko. But moving on. Reading back on the doc, it says, another person that I will briefly mention was also included in another drama with Sadie for the same reasons, but their style was similar because of heavier inspiration. Note that this person is only 11 years old, and this person had a mental breakdown because they were scared about Sadie, aka their idol, hating them. I'll be calling this person 11, because 11 years old. One very important detail is that Sadie specifically said she only felt bad for 11 after she found out they were 11 years old. She started drama with them because they did trace. But Sadie, let's be very honest. If it comes to a YouTuber with now 500 up subscribers, 600k at the time of writing/editing this, do you just not expect tracers? Not to mention, 11 was also the friend of Book that made Sadie leave them. Back to the drama with 11 and Sadie, she forgave them when they posted their unnecessary apology due to Sadie's fans attacking 11. Now, they don't say much on the drama that apparently occurred, but yes, putting an 11-year-old into a panic attack over this is bad. I'm not sure if Sadie directly did this or if her fans saw this and attacked them, but let's go through the scenario that Sadie did cause drama with them. She'd 100% be in the wrong for that. She should have spoken to them if she had a problem with the tracing and that they were acting like they didn't trace. I don't think that you should expect tracers to be necessary though. Sadie had a right to be upset about tracers, especially when said tracer isn't honest about it. She just went about it horribly wrong. That was definitely criticizable, and I agree with the doc makers in that aspect, that this is wrong. Do I think this was irredeemable? Nah, the two made up, so I don't know why this is here. There is a lot of old shit here that should have at least been saved for last. They made an explanation in their excuses doc for this, however, and that's the fact that people moved on from this? Well, of course they did. It was resolved, and sure, the temporary community post responses aren't the best, but that should have been brought up as a criticism instead of bringing up past resolved things. She learned from this, and if said person and Sadie seem to have made up, then it's unnecessary, period. Don't care if people are ignoring it now, that's just because they aren't dwelling on past resolved things. You're getting mad on someone's behalf when it's all been resolved. They also use the fact that Sadie said it was okay to 11 only to stop being friends with Booknote over them. But there's nothing wrong with her still being upset behind the scenes. These were private DMs, not public. Either way, the truth was that Sadie pinned the blame on them, because she was scared if she brought up the grooming, things would escalate. She apologized to 11 and other friends of Booknote for how she hurt them due to this, even if some of them wronged her, which shows how much she's improved and matured since the old dramas they so persistently bring up. Also, bringing up the fact that Sadie only felt sorry because they were 11 years old, like it's a bad thing, is just dumb. It shows it was put into perspective that this was someone who was younger than her looking up to her. She thought that they were her age, and I don't get what's wrong with this. Granted, no matter how old they are, her reaction was still wrong, but at the time it put it in perspective for her, and that's what she was explaining. Also, Sadie explained this in her apology/explanation, but I kind of already knew this before, but Sadie was just very passionate about her art, where she used to say to not take inspiration. People took this as, Sadie harasses everyone who uses her style, which isn't true. I thought it was clear that the whole I hate you thing was just a comedic exaggeration. The don't take heavy inspiration part just wasn't. I thought we were on the same page, but apparently not. Sadie has since removed that from all of her bios since she just doesn't seem to care anymore. And before she even announced this, I kind of knew she didn't care anymore, because some people pointed out under my Fakona Girl animation I made a while back that was inspired by Sadie, that she didn't like people getting inspired by her. But I've openly made inspired works by her before I knew that she didn't like that stuff, and I believe if it was an actual problem, it would have been said. She watches some of my content, and we're literally TikTok mutuals, so she'd have contact to me if there was a big issue. People act like she didn't allow any inspiration and that she's this evil person, but she's literally mutuals with people who get inspired by her. That wouldn't make sense. I assumed before she got really upset when people got inspired by her, but over time, she really kind of stopped caring. And it kind of seemed clear by the way she acted under people's posts. Moving on, the hater alt account. Sadie is being accused of essentially having an evil alt account. They say themselves there's no solid proof. The doc makers themselves say there's no solid proof, and even before Sadie clarified it wasn't her, I already knew. Because the proof is that the profile picture is Sadie's favorite Vocaloid? Sadie posts a bunch of Vocaloid content. I'm sure her fans would like it too if that was the case. Another piece of proof is Sadie posting a YouTube screenshot showing the creator of the screenshot was that account. But Sadie debunks this by explaining she was reposting a screenshot that was sent by a viewer. And that's honestly what I assumed from the start. Sadie provides all of her alts to disprove this. So with that, not much will be said on this as it's irrelevant. You can look through all of the screenshots with that account, but keep in mind this is not confirmed to be Sadie. And I highly doubt it is. Next allegation. Sigh. Sadie didn't respond the way the doc creators thought she should have when responding to a donation. They said she wasn't excited enough, and that a timed community post wasn't enough. Sadie was obviously happy, just didn't express it in the way that you wanted. Why is this here? This is so stupid, genuinely, and you guys acknowledge that. But you still only add it to make her seem worse. They then basically call her a dry ass, which, man, that just screams either malicious or immature. Seriously, what is this? They then speculate her grandparents' death. Hello? What the actual hell, man? They said that her grandparents dying was fishy, and quote-unquote still not an excuse for not responding how they wanted. I'm praying that these are just extremely dumb kids that aren't a day over 13. What is wrong with people? They villainize her for trauma dumping, but I'm sure nobody going through that will be in the right headspace, believe it or not. Fun fact, people close to you can die within a similar time frame. The same thing happened to me. Sometimes life just gives you fucked up timing, so let's not speculate. Next up, oh dear, right off the bat, Sadie's referred to as a bitchy asshole for responding to people on Twitter without showing the full context of the conversation. Yeah. Sadie said the comments were more lighthearted than they treat it, but still apologized with how rude they could have come off. Also in the doc, they basically said there's better people to reply to, but who cares? I don't get why some of the points are just like, I would do it this way, so why isn't Sadie doing it like that? Make better arguments, my god. They also get on her ass for her saying that she hates the YouTube community. But hey, make a doc on me too, because to be honest, sometimes the community is annoying. Make sure to clip that and make a multi-page doc on me. And Sadie clarified it wasn't the entire community, just sometimes she can't stand it, which is completely understandable. The rest is also just nitpicks like everything else under this segment, so we're moving on. Also, Sadie should never have to apologize for having trouble with her tone not being enthusiastic enough for you people. As someone who extremely struggles with tone, and usually only ever pre-apologizes when I'm having discussions in my comment sections, because I know the way that I write always comes off a bit more hostile than I intend, this is so insane. They also tell Sadie to quit. Totally not malicious at all. They also say she likes rubbing having a platform at a young age in everyone's faces, but when? You know, I'm really starting to rethink the jealousy comment, cause I've never seen her do this. Interesting. Next up, drawing herself to suggestive songs. And just like the Booknote stuff, instead of being concerned that a at the time 13-year-old could be sexualizing herself, they just put the blame on her. And their proof is just them circling suggestive lyrics in songs that she's animated to. All of which being popular animation trends that Sadie wanted to participate in. She didn't draw herself in any way, she just animated to the songs. And instead of showing concern, they pop this into a doc and treat her like she needs to be cancelled for this. Next up, the lack of flash warnings. Now this one's more serious since this is more of a health hazard thing, but the way they go about it is... sigh. They bring up the fact that their friend had gotten seizures from watching some of Sadie's videos that didn't have warnings. They then link us to a doc of said friend giving their experience since they didn't really have much experience with the topic of epilepsy. The person who made this extra doc said that she had many flashy, eye-straining, and fast-paced videos, her videos only having warnings for the ones with intense flashes. They then go on to say that she did start adding some warnings, but then complained that she put them on videos that aren't as bad as some others, not letting her have any positives without tearing her down. They also criticize some of the warnings that she has as not enough. Again, anytime credit is due, they find ways to tear her down. I know some of my viewers may have epilepsy, which means that I put warnings on a lot of my animations, because I know that they watch those videos, even when they aren't that big of flashes, so I get it. But sometimes I forget to add warnings. It doesn't make me a horrible person. The second I see comments that remind me, I fix it as needed. And if I miss any of y'all's comments, I severely apologize. But the point is, mistakes happen. They don't share that they complain and Sadie ignored them or anything. I do think Sadie needs to add warnings for these videos since seizures are very dangerous. But you need to make her aware first if it seems like she slipped up. Cause she obviously has made an effort to add them in videos, and if she doesn't have epilepsy, maybe she doesn't know what's considered as seizure-inducing and what isn't. Bring it to her attention. And maybe they did, but that wasn't included, I don't know. But there's also the chance that she didn't see it because she has a lot of comments. But I do think this argument is completely valid. It just seems out of place in an exposed doc, since this isn't something to quote-unquote expose someone for. This is something that you bring up in hopes they fix it. Now if she was like, lol, I don't care, I get it, but this isn't the case. On to the crediting issues. They bring up the one design that Sadie uses in her videos. Many claim that Sadie had stolen it and used a random person's comment as proof to say that Sadie apparently took full credit for it. This is easily disproven if you look at Sadie's content. Even I instantly disproved it in my head because when I first saw this, the second I saw the design, my mind went right to a post of Sadie crediting the original creator in her community post. I completely remember that happening. And on her YouTube, every video with that one design has been credited. The only ones that aren't include her own personal designs for one. Also, if you're wondering why I keep saying one, it's an object show character. People also use this to call Sadie a hypocrite with the whole inspiration thing, but again, that's old news and Sadie isn't like that anymore, because she's matured and realized it's dumb. And this person most likely purposely ignored that. The only thing I will say though, is that the design isn't properly credited on TikTok. That is criticizable. So no need to lie, guys. Real criticizable things are right next door if you look over the fence that's labeled malicious intent. I do think that that specific aspect is wrong, as proper credit should be on all socials, but nothing cancelable, of course. It's fixable, redeemable, and I hope that's fixed going forward. And finally, we're leaving the stupid doc, and we're going to the Doma situation. It's outside the doc, but it's worth mentioning due to the hate that Sadie's receiving due to it. Now, I kinda knew about the situation, but for context, Doma is a Dandy's World animator that created an animation of Yada, a Dandy's World character based on an official animation. Doma started a trend which many followed, many not giving proper credits, which is wrong. Doma made a response to the lack of credits, saying that they wish they never made the animation in the first place. They called out Sadie and another creator in the description, but this video has since been taken down. But this is how Sadie described it from behind the scenes. The two are mutually angry at each other. Doma made a rude video about her, and Sadie said disrespectful things and brought up past controversies. Doma believed that she purposely miscredited her, which Sadie said was completely valid. In her mind, Sadie was standing up for herself, basing her opinions off of one of her mutual's posts. A day later, she credited Doma, and Doma took down the video. Or is it Doma? I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I genuinely, I'm so bad at pronunciation. Sadie then went on to apologize for being rude and bitter towards her, and she realized that bringing up past controversies and discrediting her was wrong, and that she had every right to be upset. In my opinion, this apology was well made and answered the concerns that I had with the situation, since Sadie was pretty out of line with the situation. Though it's completely up to Doma to accept her apology, and whatever they choose should be respected. If she doesn't accept it, don't hate on her. If she accepts it, don't hate on her. It's her decision. That was between her and Sadie. But that's it for the Sadieyayy exposed doc and drama. Count on the internet to villainize a child with a large platform that they have trouble handling. That totally hasn't happened before. But I think Sadie can be criticized and has made mistakes. But we need to properly discuss these things instead of creating a doc calling a child things like an asshole and a bitch. The way people treated Sadie after this is also just insane. The way they took the fact that her being 14 means she can be criticized and used that to justify every way they treated her is insane. Sure, she can understand what she did is wrong, but that by no means makes her a mature person that will always be in the right. She's gonna slip up, she's gonna make mistakes. Instead of harassing her and making exposed docs, and if she's ignoring comments, make a respectful video. Or at least a respectful doc. Because this is just full of insults and just stupid things that didn't need to be brought up. This drama was so dumb in how it was handled. I try to give the doc writers the benefit of the doubt, but there's no way this isn't malicious with how they went about it. But count on TikTok to handle shit poorly. Sigh. Sadie's response in the doc will be in the description unless one is taken down. I wish the best for Sadie with all the hate and harassment, and I'm glad she still used the situation to learn and grow. You can still support Sadie, or not, it's up to you. Just don't harass her or her fans. We need to stop making exposed docs like this over literal children, unless what they did was genuinely extremely bad. Raise concerns, but all of this did not need a doc. A small video maybe, a small respectful video, but this is insane. And the fact that people ran with it is also insane, along with the rumors. It's disgusting. I also hope Doma's alright, since I did hear a lot of false accusations were coming up around them with the situation. Again, don't harass anyone involved, and yeah. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts, preferably respectfully, and thank you all for 126,000 subscribers. Let's get to 130,000 by the end of the month. As always, remember to love your art, love others, and love yourselves. Bye-bye!